let me put beyond doubt that the NSAS protesters are peaceful protesters. While other individuals have the capacity to vent their spleen via several means, I want to say that several calls were needed as early as possible. It may not have escalated to the point we have found ourselves. I go straight to the issues without wasting time. The NSAS struggle arose from the pains Nigerians are had to suffer from the hands of the police brutality. Some of us had spent several years trying to engage them on the need to do things in the right way, ranging from turning Edo people to ATM machine. They see them as an avenue for them to make huge money for themselves. They look up nobody to cry to. Initially, it sounded like a joke because the class of individuals who ordinarily will never be part of any protest were the class of persons who started it. There was no need to relegate them because it created a new phase in the struggle for emancipating our people from the hands of oppression. Today, police brutality has now become the face for asking for other things. And I feel that, Mr. Governor, we want to appreciate you for creating this platform. And we want to beg that while this engagement continues, you must give us the platform to continue to protest lawfully. You must give us the platform to continue to exercise our rights, to protest, for that doing is right. It also helps you easily to engage the federal government in making special requests for which your state desires very strongly. And like I said, the NSAS protesters are very peaceful. The deputy governor can attest to that. When we approached the government on Friday last week, when we were at the King Square, some individuals led by one Togo fired live ammunitions on peaceful protesters, which led to the death of one of the protesters. We took that corpse to the government house to express our displeasure. Protesters are known not to carry arms. What we have at best is our placards and our ability to engage critical issues, which bothers us very well. We were there, the deputy governor in his wisdom didn't only address us, he evaporated from the government house and condensed with us at the King Square and addressed that peaceful protesters. We agree that all through this, no property was destroyed, nobody was attacked, and no gunshot was fired. That presupposes that there are genuine NSAS protesters who are still very much within the state. And as I speak to you, Mr. Governor, even when we are here deliberating, we still have a detachment of them at the main gate. They are over 100 meters away from the military. They have never been attacked by the military because they are agitating, they are civil in their best mood, and they are asking for that which is theirs. Just to make the point straight, what we are asking for is very simple. If you like, there are those requirements in Chapter 2 of our Constitution, fundamental objective and directive principles of state policies. That's what they're asking for. We want good roads, we want social amenities. This is what government, because today we have found out in this country that those things people pray to God for are what other government provide for their citizens. We exhaust the power of asking God for a lot, whereas abroad, those are things that government provides for them. What they're asking for is simple. Ask the police to be civil in their approach. Unfortunately, sir, the SARS are not the sacrificial lamb. We still have other tactical units within the state CID who are worse than the SARS. As I speak to you, the anti-cultism unit, which is made up of 90% of cultists, are worse than the SARS. And I can tell you, we have had cause to engage them over the years to change this their way. But it seems to us as though there is no succor, there's like hue and cry. But we are convinced that the end of that is now. Moving forward, sir, I have also been asked by a detachment of the NSAS protesters to request very strongly, by way of providing solutions to this problem we have identified, that government must have an open ears towards the cries of the protesters. When they started initially, a lot of us discarded them as fraudsters. What do they have to say? That you leave the street, they are thieves. But again, we have forgotten that if we have a system that runs smoothly, some of them are graduates. I see them as the intellectual wing of the Nigerian system. Because it is not easy to ever swindle a man. So if you have such capacity within your ranks, we must harness it. We must look for how we get the very best community people for the good of our state. Rather than discard them, if we had attended to their cry early enough, we may not have found ourselves in this precarious condition we are trying to provide solutions to. That is one, sir. Then two, sir. I noticed that being proactive to this call, the state government have appointed or have inaugurated a judicial panel of inquiries to look into all this. First, I want to commend the government for doing that, and to particularly appoint one of our own, Mr. Kola Edokbai, into that ranks. A man who has been fighting these SARS and other security agencies for over a decade. But we also feel that it could be expanded to cover areas like the Nigerian Bar Associations and other individuals who also have a history of engaging these people and have special record. Government will expand it, whereas it is laudable, it is beautiful, but we feel that it will be expanded because the scope is wide enough. The scope is wide enough to cover cases in Edo South, cases in Edo Central, and cases in Edo North. I do not think a 12-man panel will be sufficient to cover these three central districts within the limited time which government has given to them. Accordingly, we are calling for the expansion of that panel so as to cover the yearnings and aspirations of the weak. Mr. Governor, let me inform that as part of the pains of people, the NSAS protesters, because it is foolhardy to see that we are protesting against the inactions of SARS 4 years ago. One of our Edo youth was murdered in cold blood by 5 SARS officers who came in from Lagos, Benzi Obode. The civil society hit the street for weeks. His corpse was concealed. It took the family, as I said, 57 days to locate that this man murdered this young man, dumped him in Central Hospital with a different name. We had to go to Lagos to get information that he was detained at the Benin Mall. Trial of these 5 individuals have been going on, and on November 3rd is the adoption of the written address where 21 witnesses have testified. Unfortunately, these 5 individuals who are members of SARS have escaped arising from that break. You will agree with me that those genuine SARS can never be part of those who would have embarked on that unworthy mission. We feel it's a disservice to our state, and the fruits of that release of the prisons will start showing in the next few weeks. As the state, we have to pay dearly for it. Therefore, Mr. Governor, we are calling that you must take a proactive step towards ensuring that those who have been the challenges of the society must be brought back and made to pay for their misdemeanor. Finally, sir, because other persons will have to speak, I am asked, sir, to ask that the government consider the establishment of the neighborhood watch. I am asked to call Mr. Goro's attention to reconstitute or to constitute establishment of the neighborhood watch, whereby recruitment should be open and transparent. Again, it helps to address the issue of community policing. If you have individuals in your neighborhood who are now given responsibility to protect their various neighborhoods, it will help to bring calmness and security to the various neighborhoods. Mr. Governor, while we were protesting, we were at the main gate this early morning, some police officers came in there this morning and fired live ammunitions on peaceful protesters. Unfortunately, these protesters were about 100 meters away from where you have the military checkpoint. They have been there with the military for the past few days. They have had no altercation because it's our right to protest. If we're asking for that which is ours, I do not think in a democracy we are stopped from doing that once it is done within the bounds of civility. That we have continued to do at the main gate houses without any record of any violence, without any record of any attack, without any record of any pain. But unfortunately, as protesters, we have even been victims. One of the protesters have had their cars stolen because of this by armed men, and we are not happy with this development. We feel government must rise up and look into these very critical issues. If militaries and police officers are detached to check excesses of criminals, they must protect the rights of peaceful protesters. Let me also say this as an addendum, Mr. Governor. As we go back to our various homes, some of us had to crawl, some of us had to frog jump to find ourselves here this afternoon because of the various points manned by the military to get here. In fact, I had to engage them critically, even to my own detriment to get here. But because we were determined to have this interface with Mr. Governor, the pains for which we find ourselves here, we can swallow. But Mr. Governor must help each and every one of us to get to our various destinations safely by giving them directives that these individuals have come to engage with you. While going back, we must not be subjected to pain. We must not be asked to go through pains, being part of their own style of enforcing the directives that have been given by government. Just to round up by asking Mr. Governor, as a fallout, the subhead of the NSAS protesters, we feel, Nigerians feels, that the emoluments, the payments being swallowed by members of the House of Representatives, House of Assembly members, Senate, is hugely outrageous. We feel, Nigerians feel, are part of the bullet points from this struggle, is that our senators, members of House of Representatives, members of the House of Assembly, and other government appointees are going home with too much. They work like ants. They cannot earn like elephants. We are individuals. And whereas when the future and fortune of civil servants, public servants are brought to them, they cannot do better than asking that they cannot get more than 30,000 naira. Your Excellency, it's also painful to hear because these are some of the demand Your Excellency may need to forward to the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission and to the President with respect to the fact that it is callous for a governor who served 8 years will be entitled to pension while still being a senator. And we feel that that is double earning, which they will not allow as governor for someone to have an appointment under them to earn NYSC and also earn under them. We feel that there are issues that this NSAS struggle has thrown up. And we feel that, Mr. Governor, you must set the pace. You must set the pace. Governors must help Nigerians to speak to the center because our constitution is giving too much power to the federal. That's why we are crying for true federalism. Let every zone, let every state develop at their own pace. Let them not be subject to that which the president is willing to give. We call as a time that Mr. God must look critically into those emoluments which are outrageous, which are neck-cutting, and bring desperation to call in and bring desperation into them when they are asking for positions of authority. Thank you.
The Freedom Ambassadors Organization, a human rights movement, and also the interim coordinator, Edo Civil Society. Secondly, I'm humbly making a request that all the security chiefs in Edo State, most especially the Commissioner of Police, should be redeployed because they blatantly refuse to provide security for the peaceful protesters. When we got wind on that second day we came out for our peaceful demonstration that we were going to be attacked, a message was sent to the Commissioner of Police and all the security heads. They refused to act. We humbly request that they should provide, their men should be on standby in case of any attack. A colleague of mine here called a very hierarchy officer in the state command who ended the call, and before ending the call, said that anything we want to see, they're going to bear them. So, PRO specifically of a state police command said, whatever we see because of the protest, we will bear it. That also gives us the belief that probably either the police or other security agencies, they have hand in that attack. There is a perception that those you see carrying out destruction today, they are hoodlums. I do not have that belief that they are hoodlums. They are children of nobody, which the government refused to train and empower to become somebody. The gap between the government and the people is too huge, that the government officials, they are living in luxuries, while the children of the common men are living in abject poverty. As we speak, no woman can boldly go to market today and want to buy a bag of rice. A bag of rice is about 35, 40,000 naira, 42,000 naira. So they will continue to agitate until when they are holding 8, 10, 15,000 naira, they will be able to buy a bag of rice. How much is the liter of fuel? I want you to urge the government. This is not the time for plenty meetings. It is time to ask. The government, the president must, as a matter of urgency, reduce the fear of pump price to maybe around 65 or 80 naira. Then the people will live. Secondly, please, all the security personnel in our streets should be withdrawn. You can ask them to go and maybe cover up or mark government and major facilities. When they continue to fire live ammunitions at protesters, it will not reduce the anger in us. Rather, it will continue to aggravate the anger in the youth. Again, those that have been arrested in the course of these genuine protests. Blessed Igirisi was unjustly arrested somewhere around Obaseki over yesterday. Please, the government should make frantic effort to get them released, except those who took laws into their hands in the course of fighting this struggle.
Emmanuel and so on and so forth. Blessed Iwisi. Please, sir, we are begging.
Principal officer in the high table, my great youth, I want to quickly speak on the already established protocol. Once again, my name is Comrade Imafidon Stephen. I'm speaking on behalf of National Association of Nigeria students. I believe, quickly, 60% of the victims of police brutality is the student. Sir. You don't expect a policeman that is being paid 40,000 at the end of the month not to use his gun to rob innocent youth of their belongings. Quickly, sir. I want to also say and point clearly that the state CID, as the chief security officer, you must look into their activities. Because the activities there all have been commercialized. Anybody cannot go in there arrested without paying nothing less than 100,000. It is an aberration to our society. Quickly, sir. The PPRO of Nigeria Police for Edo State Command must be giving adequate information and security guide on how to manage information and how to respond to the public. Because he was supposed to be the person reporting from the police to the citizen. In all this, sir, the panel of inquiry constituted, I believe this Edo State is for everybody, whether you are APC or PDP. The panel of inquiry must not be politicalized, because the names we saw there, sir, were names that were being submitted to the appropriate authority without proper checking and vetting. As earlier hinted by my fellow comrade, that panel of inquiry must be expanded to cover all areas so we can have. Quickly, sir, before I conclude, the government must not continue to listen to some persons that are interested in their personal gain. The government must open doors to constructive criticism for our state to move forward. On this, I rest my comment.
Force may have in this state, so we don't recognize you. And what just happened right now, he has every right. So nobody of SUG President, Edo State. Talking about the youth, yes, for the government. It's not always what the government will do for us. I can do something on my own capacity. You can do something on your capacity. Yes, it's not easy. The security issue is not one person's issue. It is everybody's issue. So, gathered down here, I want to appreciate the Commissioner, His Excellency, for your time. You might be able to calm this set of persons down here down. But there are some persons out there who are not in this meeting. What they want to see is the proceed, the result of this meeting. They are not in this meeting. So you cannot come and tell them that the governor promised this, or the deputy governor said this, or the SSG said this. If I'm telling them, I should be able to point it out that yes, governor promised us this and he's doing it already. My governor, I want to appreciate you. Your first tenure was marvelous, but we are expecting more this time. We are expecting more. The people of Edo State, we are trusted the state in your hand. We know that by the grace of God, you will take us to Eldorado. Thank you very much.
Theory implementation. Where are we going to do reforms? Where are we going to do reviews? And where and when are the implementations going to take place? First, I want to talk about the Nigerian police force and the Nigerian army. Like my brothers who started said, the NSAS is not worse, is just an opening to very many worms that have been bedeviling the Nigerian states, not just Edo State. It's unfortunate I expected that the Commissioner of Police would have been here and the brigade commander so we could talk to them. The issues in the police is not just about SARS. Super Mohammed of the courtesan department, anti-courtesan department of the Nigerian police, is a criminal. He's worse than SARS. So it would have been better if their bosses were here. We can mention, we are activists. We have been engaging these people day in, day out. They use POS to collect money from our citizens. We need reform. The reform is not just about SARS, it's about the Nigerian police. The police need to be reformed and given psychiatric. He needs psychiatric, they need psychiatric, and they need to be certified with a psychiatric certificate. Until that is done, we may not be moving forward. Saturday, Akideno today is lying in the morgue. Why? Because some army men who had no business with him, he's a mechanic man. They had no business with his work. They didn't give him a job. Somebody went to hire them. They beat him up, and a few days after, Saturday Akideno died. Till today, the army authorities are concealing the two army officers that perpetrated that act. You see, these are part of the issues. So we need reforms. And where are we going to have reviews? I want to appeal to the executive governor of this state. You seem to have the popularity among the youths of the state. It will do you more good, sir, if you relax the curfew to operate from dusk to dawn. And that will enable us move freely. And let me tell you, sir, the review should also go on the issue of SARS, not the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, but senators, assembly, and rep salary. We need a review. They are elected SARS. They are the ones sapping us and sassing us. Mr. Governor, sir, we also want you to please review the issues of the institutions that have been shut down. This is part of the review. And Mr. Governor, you can, when there are protests, you can go out with security chiefs. Go there. We will not do you anything because those of us protesting are peaceful protesters. We have never harmed anybody. Mr. Governor, what would expect you to do when there are protests? Come out with your deputy and your other security chiefs. Approach us. Talk to us. Give us confidence. If you had done this when the protest started, I'm sure hoodlums would now have stolen it and hijacked it. The perception is that those hoodlums who went attacking us were sponsored. That is the perception. And we see that constant engagement, the Ministry of Youth, for instance, needs to be re-energized. Before now, the Ministry of Youth used to organize holiday programs. I started as a kid, as a man of war. I have been head of youth, I've led the youth council in the state, I've council the national, I'm an activist, I'm active. But we got there through youth empowerment, through youth encouragement from the Ministry of Youth. It should not just be sideload. In fact, we need a full-fledged ministry for youth, not just youth and sports. Just ministry for youth. And it should be well adequately funded. And through the Ministry of Youth, I want to appeal to Mr. Governor that we want a constant engagement. There should be town hall meetings with youth groups like this. NAS, youth, and every other youth opinion leaders in the state. Perhaps quarterly or every 6 months. It will help you a lot. It will give you first-hand information. It's not what your aides come to tell you, because they tell you what you want to hear. But we will tell you what we know and what we want you to know. Having said that, I said implementation. And let me also quickly allow me to. Let me say this. We can do better. We can do better when you are able to look at the issues that today you must. I am aware you had a meeting with the security chiefs recently, but you must meet with them again, Mr. Governor, this evening. You ask me why. You may not be aware. When the breakage into the customs office was done, it started at about 1. But I want to tell you it's a conspiracy. It started at about 1. Army barracks is closed. NSCD's office is behind. Mr. Governor, that is started on abated till 12:30 p.m. 12:30 a.m. the following day, before Army responded. You may not be aware, but I'm telling you first-hand information. People carted away cartons of arms and ammunition from the custom warehouse, not just bags of rice. If cars were not missing there, that the over 30 vehicles moved. But I want to ask, how did they get keys to those vehicles? How come that NDLEA came to remove their vehicle while they were looting? How come? It's conspiracy, sir. Mr. Governor, I want to tell you that I am telling you authoritatively that people picked briefcases thinking they were just some briefcases, and when they opened it, they were Beretta pistols. That is to tell you light arms are in town. That's why the coffee must be dusk to dawn, so that they don't go breaking into people's houses at night. A lot of things happen that we may not be able to talk about. But how come that no response? The Nigerian police, the Nigerian army must be. They should not just attack our youth. They should be doing their job. And I want to align with my brother that said security operatives should go to government facilities to protect it. Otherwise, what you saw a few days ago may just be a tip of the iceberg. And I want to appeal to Mr. Governor that the breakage, whether you call it breakout, or you call it break-in, or you call it jailbreak, is a conspiracy. A panel of inquiry should be instituted on the issue of the jailbreak, Benin prisons break. Because we are not happy. Hoodlums are back in the street. And now, so that I don't take the floor totally, I want to appeal to Mr. Governor that the implementations of this discourse should be effective immediately. Let's continue to reach out. I'm sure you have contacts of leaders of thoughts of these states. If you don't have, get your commissioner to do that and continue to engage them and reach out to them and continue to reach us. Mr. Governor, it will do you no harm if you are able to do a broadcast even today and begin to appeal to Edo people. It is important. It is important you appeal to our conscience. It is important to reaffirm that you are governor and governor of the people, for the people, by the people. That is part of the implementation we are asking and we are begging. That we believe that as a governor, it is not just sitting in government house. It is about the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you, Mr. Governor.
Not by written speech. We need to hear him talk to us. It's the one we voted for. We don't need any other change. We had a change in 2015. We gave him the mandate to continue in 2019. He needs to talk to us. But we must first go talk to our people, because no matter what the president also say, if we don't address our youth, it is our people that will suffer first. The carnage that is going on in Lagos should not happen in Edo State. We already had enough. It will take Lagos 10 years to recover from the carnage of one day. So please let us not let that one happen in our state. Let's talk to our people, let's talk to the youth, and then let the president address the nation. But before he will do that, we'll appeal to you to help us address the state. Let's hear your voice. Talk to your people, and we'll listen to you. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
We all know that in government, we discover that same persons, same people will just be recycling positions of authority. And these persons, they are never tired. We send them to House of Rep, it's for their pocket. We send them to Senate, it's for their pocket. And things are difficult for we, the mothers. Every day you go to market, what you buy today, you cannot buy tomorrow. And we go to the same market with these higher class men in position. We buy the same garri with the same money. We buy the same rice, the same money. And the youth are tired. Hardship everywhere. We want the presidency to open the borders. Let things flow. And you will see that the nation will be calm. The hardship needs to be addressed. The implementation of everyone's agitation here today, we have said so many things. But the problem of Nigeria is implementation. We must have said 100 things here today. But my prayer is that these things should be put to work. We should see the evidence. Bible says, faith without work is dead. The youth want to see action. And another thing we need to address, I fall victim of insecurity in the state. When you are going to New Benin in the morning, you find out you enter this one-chance bus or cab. Even when you call the numbers of these securities, they display on the phone, they will not have response. They will not come to your aid. Yet, one man, one senator can have 10 soldiers, 15 policemen, guiding one man. And every one of us, we are all Nigeria. But the common man, nobody is their security. God is our security. So they should endeavor that the people that put them there, we voted for them. Just like this last election, we worked tirelessly to make sure Mr. Governor is returned back to his seat. Then at the end, these people will be neglected. We have neglect in every aspect. The government, they need to wake up to their responsibility. Another thing is that I have had the opportunity to travel out. I went to Akwa Ibom. There are phones that are displayed. That you can, phone numbers that are displayed. Yes.
May the soul of the departed rest in peace. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Washing their neighborhood. It will be difficult for outsiders to come and infiltrate, that environment. So I think this committee is very, very important. It will be good if Edo State government can reconstitute, this committee. And then secondly is youth inclusion, in governance. You have done very well, Mr. Governor, in your first tenure, because we have so many persons who are youth who are serving in that government. We want to say, we want to say at this time that you should please, as you go into the second tenure, please, you should try and even do more. Let's bring in some more persons. Because I can speak categorically of about 4 persons who are in your cabinet. The chief of staff is a very young man, commissioner for youth, commissioner for physical planning and urban development, commissioner for agric, and so many others. We know them by their names. They are our friends. Have some persons, moving around with security to oppress others. Your Excellency, that's the few I want to add to what so many others have said today. Thank you so much, and God bless.
This opportunity to interact with you. To a very large extent, every person that has spoken have touched virtually everything that needed to be touched. With all the pleading and all that has been spoken, sir, that you help us in carrying this message to reduce hardship on all citizens, because disability with hardship is like a living hell. I will want to beg you to include us, this inclusive government, carry the persons with disability along. We wouldn't want to be left behind, because it will be very, very good for us to feel your presence and to feel your governance. I know you have tried to a very large extent by employing plenty of persons with disability into the workforce. We ask for more. Include us in your cabinet by appointing some of us as SAs and some other things that will cushion our effort. Thank you very much, Mr. Governor.
Let me start by, I will not have returned back to Government House as governor, but for you. I know the sacrifices a lot of you made. I know the work, the hard work, the risk you took. I was aware of your roles in many polling units when people brought money and you either drove them away or collected the money and did the right thing. So I am very, very clear in my mind how I came back to where I am today. I came back on your back. So have no doubts in your mind. I am on your side, totally on your side. When this crisis started, I had taken some time off to go and rest after a very gruesome electioneering period. But I was in touch. I was always in touch with the deputy and the secretary to government. And our position as government has always been that we are in support of NSAS. Because your demands are legitimate. Anybody who says they're not is unpatriotic, does not love Nigeria. You are not asking for anything unusual. It is, we have always argued, and even during my electioneering, I made it clear, we need to fix this country. We have no choice. And we started warning when COVID-19 broke out, that COVID-19 was going to unravel this country, and that it was time that we stopped the indulgence and begin to take ourselves seriously and do things properly. Across the board. I will tell you this, my biggest fear in my elections, my prayer was that they should not tamper with the elections of September 19th. Because if they had done so, this crisis would have started that day. God heard our prayers. So when the crisis started with NSAS, I was not surprised at all. We had been anticipating it. Things are not right in Nigeria. We need to fix them. And we have the capacity to fix it. So your position on NSAS, on the reform of the police system in this country is spot on. But like somebody said, it is time up for just talking, and rhetorics. It is now time to implement. So I have no problems, no issues with your peaceful protests. When you said you were going to protest, very early on, I asked the police to give you protection. I know, I said, I'm going to where I'm going, I am going to where I'm going. I asked the police to give you protection. Okay? So, the police have a choice. The command has a choice, either to obey the governor or not. Because the governor doesn't hire or fire the commissioner. So, all I can do is to ask them to do what I believe they should do. I have no powers, I have no authority to compel them to ensure that they should do what they are expected to do. That is the basis of the crisis. Accountability of persons in government, persons holding public offices. It's the problem across the board. And I keep saying it. It's only the governor that is held accountable, because every 4 years you have to come and tell people, give them your stewardship based on which you either you have your job or not. After that, very, very few people in this country are held accountable. But that is not where we're going. What we're saying is that there are structural challenges that we must fix. Let us not gloss over the cracks. Let's go to the foundation and begin to fix the foundation, because the cracks are expanding so wide that we are not able to paper over them anymore. Unfortunately for us as a country, we're going through a phase that is totally unnecessary, because we have gone through this phase before and it did not lead us anywhere. Every state system is created with institutions. To have institutions, particularly in a democracy, you need institutions that will ensure law and order. That is why you have the security services. But when we found ourselves in a situation as we've today, where the security services are not capable, they become incapable of performing their constitutional responsibilities. So the starting point is what you are doing. Talk about it, shout about it. The next point is that we must sit down and now say, look, this is how we now fix it. So it's great what you are doing, then at NSAS, but we now must move to the next point and leave the streets and say, these are the things we need to do. Let's sit across the table and have firm agreement on how to fix this and when to fix it by, and who to fix it. And if it doesn't happen, this is what we must do. That is what you talked about, implementation. Yes, we have started. The panel of inquiry that has been set up is the first step. I've heard you. We need more representation. There are 12 members today. I've just told the SSG they should be increased to 20 to accommodate those groups that are already affected. That panel has 90 days. I've taken my notes, but there is a panel. I'm imploring all of you, document something. Go to that panel and tell them all you've said and even more. Let it be recorded and documented in a report. So we have something, a document, on which we will now move forward. We will now work. So if we have agreed and the panel takes all the evidences, the names you have mentioned, the sections you have mentioned in the police, all of that should be documented. And we now have a public document and a process to now go after these individuals. Let it now be left to us to implement. Those we can implement in Edo, hold us now responsible for implementing those things, the reports of that particular panel, in which you have been represented. There are so many things that have gone wrong. They did not start going wrong today. So it will, like someone said, it will be unrealistic to expect us to fix all of them today or in 4 years. But I tell you, at the base of our problem is the structure we operate in Nigeria. At the base of the security issues in this country, you've addressed it somewhat. You cannot have a federal arrangement which has 3 tiers of government: federal, state, and local government, right? You have the judiciary that reflects the 3 tiers of government. You have the educational system that reflects the 3 tiers of government. You have the health system that reflects the 3 tiers of government. Yet, in security, you only have a centralized security arrangement. It cannot work. It is not working. I have shouted and I have said it in various fora. Our security arrangement in this country must reflect a federal system. Until we get there, we're going to have this sort of crisis. I cannot be a governor of a state and cannot hire or fire my commissioner of police. It doesn't align with the concept of a federation. These have to be changed, but we may not be able to do it immediately. NSAS has started that movement. But please, let us now sit back and make sure that what we have started can be seen through to its logical conclusion. Let it not be hijacked. What has happened today is, well, I can say a combination of various factors. Some of it deliberate, like I know, what is going on, what's been going on in the last couple of days in the city. Some of it has been sponsored. Some of it has been induced by the harsh and difficult economic environment. And some of it has just been part of the behaviors of the past, where people are not held accountable. People breach laws, they do whatever they like, and they get away with it because they are big men or because they have godfathers. You have helped us start the process of ending godfatherism in our lives and our politics. We must now take it to the next level. There cannot be any sacred cows. The most important thing for us in this country is our constitution and our laws. Nobody, no group of people must be above the constitution and the laws of this country. There are things you have raised. There are things that have to deal with, I would say, sent to the panel, and there are things that have to do with us as government. Those things that have to do with government, fortunately, they are all part of the second term agenda. I cannot be governor and not include you. I traveled around the 192 wards of these states. Nobody can tell me what's going on anywhere. I know. And one quick way of fixing our challenges is to make sure that we include more of you in how decisions are made. I have made up my mind. I have made up my mind on how and who we are going to hire for this next term. And I'll let you know here today, I've not discussed it with anybody, but 60% of our appointees must be under the age of 40. And the logic is simple. Who are we governing for? Who are we planning for? Is it not for the future? If 20 years ago, they started with what we are doing now with Edo Best, do you think that a lot of these kids today who have no hope will be on the streets? Would they not have been better educated? So we cannot continue the way it has been in the past. It's only a stupid man or a stupid father that will not understand that he has to invest in his children, has to starve himself and forsake so much so that the children can do well, because that's his guarantee when he's old, that he will live a happy old life. And that logic has been lost on many of us in this nation. So I want to assure you that there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with your protests. It's legitimate, and I support it. What I am worried about is the level of criminality. Part of the fight we had in our first term, was the issue of just maintaining law and order and criminality. Because a lot of these criminals had the cover of the Godfathers. They called them their infantry. They called them their lions and tigers. And you know that without law and order, there cannot be any economic growth. Nobody will invest. And you could see them in the last few days, the way they've come out, pouncing on people's private properties. That's the mentality. The reason, the crisis in Edo is not an NSAS one. It's not an NSAS one because government supports NSAS. The crisis in Edo is political. This is an extension of the elections. We defeated them, and they are looking for a backdoor way of making the state unstable. And I know, just like we defeated them in the elections, as long as we have you, we will contain them. They've escaped from the zoo. We've kept them under the guise of NSAS. With my NSAS army, we are going to gather them, arrest them, and put them back in the zoo they belong. Like I said, you have raised several issues here. Fortunately, most of the internal issues are things we are already working on and thinking through. There is POWOV. POWOV is our version of Neighborhood Watch. As I speak today, 900 of them are being trained in Ogida police barracks. Another 1,100 are going to be trained after this set, which will make it 2,000. But over and above that, we're going to hire another set, and which will be about 20 people per ward. I'm even thinking that we may even look at doing one per unit that will be in charge of public safety, part of our POWOV arrangements. We don't make noise as a government. So that is why you may not know. But we are it's not political. We are training them. We've brought people from even outside of the country to join in the training because it is clear only us can protect us. That is what is becoming obvious. And as your governor, I am going to do everything in my power to make sure that we have a strong internal security system and we protect ourselves. Like I said, the issues of a better government, of proper governance, of transparency in government, that is what we're emphasizing. And when we have younger people who can use technology, then we'll have more transparency and accountability. And that is what has informed my decision to make sure I have many more younger people working for government. Before making the broadcast, I decided to consult I'm going to be making a broadcast tonight. But I wanted to first make sure I have touched base with my base. When I finish, I have another meeting, a Zoom meeting that's on now, I have to rush back to. I'm also touching base with a whole spectrum of leadership, religious leaders, traditional leaders, so that we can feel the pulse. Yes, we see ourselves, we see what is going on, but we still need to communicate and reach out to the larger society. Yesterday afternoon, for 6 hours, I was patrolling in company of the DG, the SSG, and the security chiefs. We patrolled the city for 6 hours, from 1 p.m. yesterday to 7. And so I saw for myself firsthand what was going on. It took us almost 1 hour, 1 hour, 20 minutes, from 3rd roundabout to get to the bypass on Sakoba Road. By the time we were coming back again at night, it took us the same amount of time. So I know, nobody can tell me what's going on, the activities of the hoodlums and the people and some of the people who are sponsoring them. We know. What we don't want is for them to hijack a very legitimate and required protests that you have spearheaded. NSAS. Underlying all of these challenges is an issue, like this lady said, of economic hardship. Things are tough, and it's going to get tougher because of the way we've managed our economies and run our affairs in the last 40 or more years. It's the reality, it's the fact. COVID has come to unravel all our inadequacies as a people and as a country. We have to now respond. There are no quick fixes. If anyone comes to tell you this is going to be over in a few months, it's a lie. The next 2 to 3 years are going to be tough. But depending on how we manage, we will get out much stronger. Because this country is so blessed. I was listening to Tony Blair, former British Prime Minister, on an interview this morning, and he talks about Nigeria. There are very, very few countries that are as blessed as this country. Even in Edo, what don't we have? But except responsible leadership. Once you, the youths, now protesting, now rise up. Stop pointing fingers at others. You are now becoming leaders. And you'll soon find out that what you are criticizing, you may be criticized of, except you change. The affliction in this country affects us all. So don't say it is them or they, it's us. So in terms of the economy, we're going to continue to push. We're going to focus on priorities. We're going to cut down on waste. Like you said, there is too much waste. What you will do for 100 naira, government will do for 1,000 naira. The same thing. If you don't cut back on waste, there will be no money to do the things we need to do. Thank God for COVID. How many people have traveled this year abroad? So it means that we can live our lives without traveling, isn't it? So for me, I think that we have a window of opportunity. That you have started, that you have opened that window. Please let us not close it. Keep it open. We will continue to dialogue. That's the new way forward anyway. We will continue to dialogue, but we're not going to do things the old way. That is what I can assure you. We're going to be transparent, we're going to be open, and we're going to be honest. There will be a lot of attacks on us, as you have seen, but we will count on you to protect the government that you have installed. Will you? Yes. I believe that I have, in a nutshell, talked about the headline issues, and to assure you that the curfew will be stepped down tonight. Because we've been reasonably assured, you know, from what we did yesterday and today, we've been reasonably assured that the town is now under control. We still have challenges here and there. So we'll step down the curfew, allow people to now go about their daily work. However, the curfew will now be from 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. for 72 hours from tomorrow. So, it will be 72 hours from tomorrow, from 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. We'll watch it for 2 days to make sure that we use it in clearing and making sure that there is no resurgence. And I'm hoping that, barring any unforeseen circumstances, by Monday next week, we should be able to return life to normal. I want to end by thanking all of you once again, and to assure you that because of what you did on September 19th, I have no choice. Because every politician stands on a platform. The platform I stand on is you. So if you are not with me in government, if you are not part of me, then I stand on nothing. That is why I want to leave you with these parting words, that don't have any doubts. Don't have any iota of doubts. I am not in government to make money. I am not in government for fame. I am in government to serve, and serve the next generation. And therefore, it means that you are the reason why I'm in government. If I cannot serve you, I will quit. By the grace of God, we will get out of this a stronger people, a stronger state, and a stronger Nigeria. God bless you.